And welcome back to A World Gone Mad, Season 1, Episode 46. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I know we did. We're still eating leftover turkey. Isn't the best part that you have turkey and with all the fixins, and you could do it again a day or two later, and then all throughout the week? That's what we did. Still eating turkey. It'll be turkey for breakfast, turkey for dessert, pumpkin pie, pecan. It never ends, does it? All right, this episode may be shorter today, but it's very meaty. So let's go on. You may or may not have heard, seen, or read that President Biden pardoned his son Hunter unequivocally of all charges and ramifications. Hunter had his sentencing coming up in the next week or so. President Joe Biden's decision to pardon his son has left some Democrats in Congress fuming over his choice. Joe Biden repeatedly and unequivocally claimed that he would never take that step, even though a pardon long appeared possible to Hunter Biden's legal team. Now, multiple officials who recently worked for Joe Biden said they never believed the president or White House aides speaking on his behalf when they insisted in recent months that a pardon for Hunter Biden was off the table. Anyone who was even close to the top knew that he was probably going to do this. Now, why did we pretend otherwise? A former senior West Wing aide said. But to say that Democrats are fuming? Seriously? Let me explain a few things to those fuming Democrats. When I heard this or read this, I was a little surprised or stunned because President Biden said he wouldn't do this. And I took him at his word, and for his legacy and etc., I believed him. When I saw the headlines, I went, that's not right, and he went against what he said. But I wasn't fuming. Look, it's Biden's son. He's the president. He has the power. With that being said, though it's controversial, Joe Biden's move to pardon a close family member or associate is not unheard of. Presidents from both parties have wielded their pardon power in ways that have raised eyebrows, though perhaps none did so after so strongly saying they would not do this, as Biden did. But do we not remember that Donald Trump pardoned Charles Kushner, his daughter's father-in-law, in Trump's last month in office? President Bill Clinton pardoned his half-brother Roger, who had pleaded guilty to a drug charge on Clinton's last day in office. And Trump is talking about pardoning the January 6th people who stormed the Capitol to overturn the election. So let's get a grip, fellow political Democrats who are fuming at President Biden's decision. Which brings me to Senator Joe Manchin. His lengthy career in public service, which began with a seat in West Virginia State Legislature 42 years ago this week, has very nearly reached the end. Now, the Democratic senator turned independent senator didn't run for re-election this year, and in a month's time, he's going to leave Capitol Hill. But before he goes, Manchin has one more idea to pitch. A very bad idea. Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia said Monday in an interview with CNN that President Biden, because he pardoned Hunter, his son, should now pardon President-elect Trump. That's right. Manchin is calling for President Biden to pardon Trump. What would I have done differently, Manchin says, and my recommendation as a counsel would have been? Why don't you go ahead and pardon Donald Trump for all his charges? Manchin said of Biden pardoning his son, Hunter, when talking to CNN. Let's just wipe away all the charges against Donald Trump, right? Because he has to be president for years, and he kind of needs to concentrate on the work at hand. I'm paraphrasing what Joe said. In other words, let's pardon Trump so he's not distracted from doing his destruction of democracy. Hopefully all of you listening are laughing out loud at this ludicrous idea to equate Biden's pardon for his son with Biden being asked to pardon Donald, delusional soon-to-be Donald dictator, for everything he's done. There is zero equivalency here. None. Joe Manchin has been nothing but a thorn in the Democrat side for the last several years, trying to be a manipulative wedge between Biden and his policies. And now this comment that Trump should be pardoned? Sorry, Joe, I don't think so. So the name of my podcast is A World Gone Mad. Here's another example of a world gone mad. South Korean President Yoon originally declared martial law in his country a few days ago. Lawmakers who assembled in the country's parliament had unanimously then voted to block President Yoon's decree. Footage showed that some members appeared to have clashed with authorities as they attempted to enter the building. Yoon said the move was necessary to protect the country from communist forces in North Korea. Now, his decision came as the main opposition Democratic Party has repeatedly attempted to impeach government officials, which Yoon said has paralyzed the government. Now, South Korea President Yoon, after the decree to block his martial law dictate, he will now lift the martial law literally hours after he made the declaration in a surprise late-night address that plunged the country into political uncertainty. Now the question is, will North Korea try to take advantage of this chaos? More madness is happening with America and China. China hits out at the latest U.S. effort to block Beijing's access to chip technology, computer chip technology. The Chinese government has slammed America's introduction of fresh export controls on U.S.-made semiconductors that Washington fears Beijing could use to make the next generation of weapons and artificial intelligence systems. Now, the new measures unveiled by the outgoing Biden administration have raised the political temperature between the world's top two economies ahead of the imminent inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has made self-sufficiency a major pillar of his economic strategy to make China a tech superpower. When Trump gets in office, he's talking about major tariffs, so further disruption between China and America. Oh, we got problems, my friends, right here in America, with a capital P and that rhymes with T and that stands for Trump. That's right, it's problems. Right here, right near. It's Trump, Trump, trouble, trouble, trouble. Forgive me for a little artistic license on the Music Man. So let's continue the madness. Trump, trouble, may renew a housing fight that could rattle mortgage rates. The prospect of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac privatization is once again on the table as President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office. These two mortgage giants, which back about 70% of the United States mortgages, have been under government conservatorship since the 2008 financial crisis. Trump's earlier efforts to privatize the companies stalled during the first term, but supporters believe his new administration may finally achieve this goal. Now, making these companies private could disrupt this system. The U.S. housing market is already under pressure, with mortgage rates hovering near 7%, tight inventory, soaring home prices, The Federal Reserve's monetary policies and inflationary concerns have fueled rate volatility, further complicating housing affordability. Want to cause more problems for Americans, my friend? Trouble, trouble, trouble. To the 74 plus million people who voted for Donald, thanks a lot. And because Trump is in, some Americans say they're out. Interest in moving abroad spikes after the election. People like Richard Gere and his wife, she's from Spain, although they were talking about moving to Spain a while back, is one example. Other celebrities and famous people have mentioned they're going to leave the country. Friends that I know, people that I've read about in the news and on Facebook pages, have said they're renewing their passports to move to another country. So some of you mentioned or gave me feedback on this. Are any of the Wolfpack listeners serious about moving out of America? Email me, text me, leave me a voice message. The email is wolfpacklistener@gmail.com. WOLFPACKLISTENER@gmail.com. All right. Elon Musk, boo, right, and Vivek Ramaswamy will speak to Republican House and Senate members on Thursday afternoon, according to a notice distributed by Speaker Mike Johnson's office on Tuesday. Now, the meeting will center on Trump's new agency. Remember this? The Department of Government Efficiency. Doggy. I had to. It's obvious. DOGE. This meeting will take place in the Congressional Auditorium. So DOGE, Trump had proposed the creation of a Government Efficiency Commission as part of a slate of new economic plans that he unveiled in early September. And he tapped Musk and Ramaswamy to lead doggy. So let's see if I get this right. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, arguably, and Vivek Ramaswamy, who have no powers to do anything major, are in charge of government efficiency, a made-up department by Donald Trump. On the campaign trail, Trump pointed to this proposed Government Efficiency Commission as a way to reduce government spending. As the first order of business, Trump said, this commission will develop an action plan to totally eliminate fraud and improper payments within 6 months. That's what Trump said. So I guess his family's out and he's out. Come on, seriously? This apparently, according to Trump, will save trillions of dollars. Again, if Trump is removed from office and his family's removed, then okay. It's important to note that while Trump has promised that the initiative will make drastic changes, Musk and Ramaswamy will not have any direct power to make spending cuts, yet they're in charge of doggy. Regulatory changes or other moves, no power from them. The group will exist outside of the government, will likely serve to make recommendations to the White House for the president's annual budget, which outlines the president's vision, but Congress is not required to follow DOGE doggy's lead. More trouble right here in America. So here's a question for the Wolfpack listeners. According to the New York Times report, one of their reports, they say that America wants a major shakeup in the health industry. Do you feel the same way? Look, healthcare is a joke in America. Those of you who are going through it understand that, right? We have to go through the healthcare insurance companies to get pre-approval for tests that our doctor says is necessary, we know is necessary, but if you have an HMO, they have to do pre-authorization. If you have Medicare, they pay 80%. We're liable for 20%. Out-of-pocket costs are skyrocketing. And for example, one of my family members, to get a healthcare plan, it's $572 a month. But here's the kicker. The deductible is $3,500. So before you can get any coverage, you have to reach $3,500 in medical bills before the insurance kicks in, while you're paying $570 plus per month. Well, think about that. You pay $570 per month, let's say for 5-6 months, $3,000. If you don't, and then you have an emergency, and if you don't hit $3,500 right away, you're already out $6,000. So does this make sense? So according to the New York Times, everyone in America, which I don't agree, they asked him point blank, the guy who wrote the article, he said, well, some people in America want a shakeup. Yes, we do. I personally think dental should be added to health coverage. Hearing is important, but to me, dental is more important. They'll pay for certain things like cleanings, but they won't pay for things that are really needed. They'll pay for eye exams and a set of glasses each year, but they won't pay for anything if you have cataract surgery. That, beyond a certain level to the next level for cataract surgery, is 100% the responsibility of the person who has the policy under Medicare or an insurance plan. And to top it on all off, to top everything off, RFK is up to be in charge of our health care. So how do you feel? Do you feel that this is right? Do you feel there should be a complete shakeup, tear everything down, or improve upon some things? As I feel, I don't think you destroy everything that's in place. I think you improve everything. So what are your thoughts? Leave me a voice message. It's free. 833-399-9653. 833-399-9653. Leave your first name, where you're listening from, and your comments. Nobody answers the phone. It's just a voice message system. Let's hear from you about this. The healthcare system and RFK potentially being in charge is huge. I'd like to hear from the Wolfpack listeners on this. So keep your texts that you could text through the app you're listening on, some of the apps, emails, voice messages coming in. Your feedback is important to me. And I'm still waiting to receive the first email or text or voice message from someone living outside of the United States. This podcast is heard in 42 countries, but I've yet to receive any comments from the listeners listening in those countries. I would love to hear from everyone and their feedback. Each week we ask several questions, and I'd like your response. All right, last week, of course, was Thanksgiving, and I guess some of you were at a fantastic party, and some of you were enjoying the holidays, if not all of you. So we didn't get a lot of listenership last week. So don't forget to give the previous episode, number 45, a listen to. When you combine last week's episode with this episode, you're talking about 30 minutes max to listen to both episodes to catch up. And hey, I added some fun, inspirational stories in episode 45 that I think you will enjoy and will help lighten the tension a little bit with what's going on. Don't forget to share the links with everyone that you get. If you need a link and you need some help with that, email me, text me. I'll send you the links so you could send it to fellow people like yourself to tell them about the podcast. And please subscribe to my podcast. Don't forget to leave a comment on Apple or Spotify if you could. This is The World Gone Mad. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. And until next week, stay hopeful.